All right, good evening. This is Tyree with the Tower Coffee Hour, and we're doing Poems Spoken tonight. And we've got a great guest tonight. He's Birdman313. He's from Missouri City, Texas. And Birdman has got an amazing site. Go on YouTube and look up Birdman313. He's got some, what I think I heard you say you had 300 poems up, something like that.
Yes, yes. Hey, could I say something?
You say anything you want. This is your
Okay,
stage.
it's actually Houston, Texas.
Oh, well, Missouri City's close.
Yeah, I can walk right down. Yes, yes.
Okay, we're
And
gonna we're gonna fix that right here,
okay,
like that.
yes, yes.
Done. Okay, so he's
Okay,
Houston, Texas,
yeah.
because when I look on your YouTube, it says Missouri City.
Really?
Yeah, it does. You might want to go look at that.
Okay,
That's
okay.
where I got it from.
Oh, I didn't. Wow, because man, that's something new to me.
All right. So how many poems you got tonight, Birdman? Roughly.
Um, I roughly have six.
All right, because a lot of your poems on your videos run like a minute 20, a minute 30,
Yeah.
40. So
I mean, I have a stack next to me. I won't run out.
oh, so if we got time left, you got poems left.
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
good. All right. All right. Well, let's switch it over to Birdman and let him take the stage. And Birdman, it's all yours. And I don't care how long we go.
Okay,
Uh, you just tell me when you're finished.
all right.
And there we go.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Birdman313, originally from Benton Harbor, Michigan, but hey, I'm here in Houston, Texas. This first poem I'm going to read, I actually wrote this poem after visiting Valley of Fires out in Las Vegas, and it's titled Sound of the Sun. Though you haven't thought about it, the sun makes a sound. There is whistling and crackling during the early morning sunrise. Explosions come from the sunlight. An enormous mass of gases rage in the distance. It makes an unfamiliar sound we are not aware of. Space that swallows up the sound. Listen in the morning as the sun swells over in the east horizon. While the world is still asleep, you might hear a light noise far inside of your mind, like light rushing into darkness. Energy burns towards a peaceful solution, burning brilliantly and spontaneously in the middle of nowhere, but you have no way of hearing it. And my next poem here is because it's the fall season. That's why I mostly pulled out a lot of nature poems, and this one is titled "Listen to the Birds." Listen to the birds chirping loudly for all to hear. They walk around the ancient grounds and fly among the trees as the evening dew settles on their wings. They rise from out of the dewy grass as sunrise into the gloomy sky. Catching a slight breeze, they glide around the edges of the clouds, enjoying the sights of the earth. Sometimes they soar far out by the watery shore or into the dense air over the mountains. At times, the sky seems so lonely, making one wonder where the clouds are. Listen to the birds' cheerful voices. Do you think they are singing about peace? Are they chirping about grief and sadness as they watch turmoil unfold? Let your imagination run wild like the birds who seem to have no cares in the world. Laughter can be heard throughout the hills. You try to figure out if they are laughing at humans or are they just talking to each other. After a relaxing flight, they start to flock to their nests as their voices go silent. Okay, and my next one, excuse me, my next poem. I wrote this. We had visit Muir Woods up in the San Francisco area, and I wrote this poem, and there's a video with this one for sure. It's titled Forest. While walking through a dense forest, we hear the crackling of the twigs and leaves that have fallen on the ground. Along the trail of the peaceful forest, a fog appears to be rolling in. Here in the forest, the air is crisp. As the wind is so intimate with the trees, leaves begin to fall. The pines and birches have settled on a path that leads through the forest. A subtle fragrance of pine fills the air as the sun peeks through portions of the branches and leaves. A thousand sweet enchantments scatter our thoughts, wandering deeper into the forest to gather our dreams that have surfaced. Feeling the deep spirit that sends a fragrance of green and spicy cedar as the wind blows. We cross stumps, harsh rocks, and bridges that have running streams underneath. The scent of a forest continues through our stroll while we enjoy the quietness. A few wild animals, birds feel safe as this is their home. This is where you can hold a smell, calm communion of solitude. Okay?
All right, now let's give us some background. Now we talked a little bit before we started recording. Where did
Yes.
you grow up, Birdman?
I grew up in Benton Harbor, Michigan.
Okay, what's in Benton Harbor?
Nothing right now. It's just that's why I wanted to get away from there. There was no opportunities at all. They're known. Benton Harbor was known for the apples,
Okay.
and then they had an amusement park because we're 90 miles from Chicago, and so people from Chicago would come over to visit and go to what it's called. It was called Silver Beach. Well, it's still Silver Beach, but it doesn't have the amusement rides that it had when I was growing up. And
Okay.
it's I guess Benton Harbor is most known because Al Capone lived in Bering Springs, and he would catch a boat over from Chicago, and he would catch it over Lake Michigan, and then when he got to the mouth of the river, which is St. Joe, he would take his boat down there, and they used to say policemen would be sitting on I-94 waiting for him to come through, but he's on the boat. And then in the late 70s, Muhammad Ali bought the house.
Hmm.
And I have a good friend. He stayed right down the street. So whenever I go back, I would take pictures. But you couldn't go on the property no more because people was going on. They were just walking on the property. So they put up a gate, and they have a camera out there, and you can no longer just walk on there because he showed me some pictures of him and his son going down there. And Ali used, it was like the neighborhood kids would come down there, and he would take them to the gym that he had, and they could box.
Wow. So, why did you start writing poetry, Birdman?
Oh, that was I started long time ago. It was for therapy. It was for my peace,
Okay.
and plus I always wanted to write songs. So for me, I always felt poetry and lyrics are basically the same because it's rhyming.
Hmm.
So once I started really getting into writing, I just and then the lyrics I did thought I they never got accepted by anybody. So I just continued to write, and like I said, it got to the point where I would just go in my room, shut the door, turn on some music, and I would just write, and it make me happy.
Okay, so one last question. I'll let you get back to your poems.
Okay.
So you've made all this money writing poetry. And I write poetry too, and I've made a lot of money doing that. What
Yeah.
do you do, Birdman?
I'm retired.
From what?
Working. I'm retired from my last job. I worked at Hewlett Packard,
Okay.
and things didn't work out there, and I got tired of supervisors always peeping around the corner. And when they fired me, I'm not ashamed to say it. When they fired me, I was like, I'm done with working. And
Yeah.
yeah, yes, yes, yes,
You can always find something to do to make money if you have to.
yes, yes. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I walked away from a big corporate position when I was 44 years old, and
Wow,
I don't regret it, Birdman. I don't
I
regret it.
know it.
Good.
I know. That's me. People ask. I said, man, I don't regret it. And they said, well, you got something to do. You write poetry, and I'm like, I was writing poetry before that even came up. I had already said I was going to, try to put out books, which I have.
Yes,
And
you
that was,
have.
and that was even when I was like in my 30s and 40s. I said, this is what I'm gonna do because you never get too old to write.
You'd never get too old to write. That's
Yes.
great. All right, we're going to go back to you full screen, cut my microphone off, and you've got the stage.
Okay. All right. This next poem here that I'm gonna read is called My Hometown. I just wrote this one last year. I left my hometown because I wanted to go places, see things, and do things. There were many laughs and many tears shared in my hometown. Summers filled with heat and winters covered in snow, and detailed in the many stories that are left behind. So many walls have been torn down. Families once loved this place with the beaches, lakefront, and amusement parks that are now long gone. Little by little, everything sadly disappeared. Factories and businesses closed as unemployment grew and food stamps became a major source of survival. Crime grew as big city criminals preyed on small town resources. Now I sit with only empty memories and a few pictures of the fun times left behind. While secrets may be hidden, they are not forgotten. Old friends get together to speak of the tales from the distant past. Tales are told as you walk the halls of the neighborhood in your mind. Just listen and hear the stories of growing up with no worries as a youth. That old house that still stands can clearly tell of past years. Do you still feel welcome within the empty house you once called home? When you visit your hometown and ride down the streets that you walked, everything looks so different. Places are run down, torn down, and empty like a ghost has taken over. I often think of how beautiful the small town once was. The once pleasant and beautiful streets of my hometown are gone. As thoughts of my youth come back to me, the memories still haunt me of the once beautiful small town. I left my hometown because I wanted to go places, see things, and do things. Time changes everything, but nothing and no one remains unchanged. This next poem, I wrote this in. It's funny how I wrote this poem after listening. I love jazz music, and I was listening to Paul Hardcastle. And I wrote this poem, and Diana edited. 2 hours after she edited, she brought it to me to read it. It was a commercial on, and it had the same title as the and the title is "A Thousand Miles from Nowhere." The video that I shot with this, one of the videos is off of the Gulf of Mexico, and the other one is when I was out in California off the Santa Monica Pier. A thousand miles from nowhere. There are times when my mind is blank, searching for the words that don't want to flow. Poems just don't seem to be released. Rather than borrow from some other source, I just leave it alone because these words are a thousand miles from nowhere. I wait for the words to begin emerging from within so I can once again be blessed. My hands wait for the words to flow from my mind to the pen to the paper. These days, time seems so long and lonely, with a few places to go to release the imagination. We all must travel somewhere, somehow to see family and friends, even if it's 1,000 miles from nowhere. History has all but warned us that a shutdown was coming. Wanting to visit a mysterious little town with an open landscape, while names are spoken in a whispering tone with none spoken out loud. A magical spell seems so relaxing, like riding on a cloud. No one could retrace my steps because leaving this place would be 1,000 miles from nowhere. Placing my footprints where I originally came from in the beginning, tracing what brought me to this place, knowing you will not find me. Now it is time to leave this place. This is where walking backwards will give a vision of how things have changed. Please don't look for me. You will find that I am nowhere to be found. I will be 1,000 miles from nowhere. This next one, excuse me, this is a new poem here. I wrote this after we was out at in Las Vegas and I was at the Mandalay shooting videos of the waterfalls, and I call this one "Corridor by the Waterfalls." Strolling down a corridor towards the waterfalls, you try to forget the world around you. From time to time, all you feel is nothing. When the heart is calm and at peace, happiness is felt. You feel hypnotized like nothing really matters as the anxiety flows away, leaving feelings of numbness. The water from the waterfall flows over the rocks and down the sides into a stream. It will soon get hot as the sun bears down. You begin to feel better as the mist spray moisten on your face. Watching waterfalls help to wash away your fears and tears of yesterday. The aroma in the air from the waterfall feels like you are surrounded by the ocean and sea. You start losing your taste as a cool breeze makes you feel free. A pathway between these corridors has ivy covered walls. The eternal music of the waterfall gives a silent communion like a bottle of fine wine. Happy solitude comes as the waterfall of dream come crashing down upon your heart's gate. And this one here, I took a picture when I was in LA, and this is what I wrote about it. And it's titled, "What Do You Want?" Your path can change in a moment. Try changing your life path because once it ticks by, there is no going back. Make a new friend, find a true love, or see your life begin or end. So while looking into the mirror, look deeply into your eyes. Ask yourself the question, what do I want in this lifetime? The answer may be, won't let me be. Take a minute and let the tears flow. You can now work on becoming the person you want to be. Will the world accept you? Family, friends, and associates may reject you. Life is made of moments, precious and few. Fill up on each moment with your choices. Continue to look into the mirror and relax. No need to get angry or worry what people think. So each day, ask the same question while looking into the mirror. What do I want in life? Don't stop until you get the answer your heart has been longing for. Okay, this poem was written during the pandemic and it's titled Silent Witness. Once the pandemic hit, it was so much stuff in the yard. I didn't realize all the things. and I used to walk the yard, and it gave me inspiration to write. And this is one of the poems. Silent Witness. Tonight, seeing someone else's stars shine brightly, as mine lays behind a vast cover of clouds. Up above the trees, the moon hangs unclaimed and half full, with an uncertain glow as it is hesitant to grace the night. There is no melodramatic song. The sky bends in a lonely arc like a mirror that reflects my dreams. Lightning bolt streaks across the cold, dark sky. Walking down a dark path, looking around, but seeing no one, not even a footstep. There are only dark corners and dark streets and total silence. You stand naked in the darkness of the night when a voice speaks inside your head, reminding you of your guilt from worldly pleasures you thought no one has seen. Thinking the coast was clear, forgetting that even darkness, there is a witness. There is a witness, a silent witness. It is your conscience. The night is host to the silent witness to all that was forgotten and lost. This next one is called
I
Evening
got a
Time.
whole crowd over here listening to you.
Yeah. Okay. This one is called Evening Time. Looking at the blue evening sky as the moon sits alone while the clouds move by. It is a pleasant evening with a cool, gentle breeze. Sitting on the patio on this quiet evening is a good time to enjoy the outdoors. The streets are quiet and there are no animals roaming in the yard. Even the mosquitoes aren't buzzing around. The sun is gone. There are no birds or airplanes in sight. Looking at the evening sky as darkness falls is such a beautiful sight. Makes you forget the pandemic and the turmoil in the world for a brief time. The pandemic has given people a chance to look at their life in a whole different light. Isolation and solitude give silence to our thoughts and brings about self awareness. A great time to appreciate nature and the outdoors and all God's gift that we so often take for granted. Okay, and this next one, miracle is called Moments in a Dream. Miracles fall like raindrops from the heaven on this dry, thirsty land. You awaken in the morning after finally getting a decent night's sleep. You had a dream that couldn't be remembered on a road of uneasiness. There was a voice that spoke out about being unstable to apologize for not remembering. What crossed your mind in your sleep during the night in the quiet moments? You will now travel a journey without knowing the distance or being familiar with what is about to form. Then you awaken with an unusual clear mind, feeling like a voice was speaking directly to you. It can be amazing, but as you look around, you realize no one is standing near. The sheets are soaked with sweat. The pillowcase is soaked with tears. The room begins to spin, then stops. You lay back down, trying to go back to sleep to catch up with the dream so you can remember what transpired and what is roaming through your mind. The sooner you lay back down, the sooner you may be able to capture that thought and dream. Now, the words and vision that keep coming back are meaningless. The truth will always outweigh the reasoning, whether or not you agree or like the outcome. So do anything you choose to do. Let your mind run rapid. Nothing that is real can be threatened, and nothing that is unreal exists. Whew. Okay, this next one, I I wrote this one. It was early in the morning, like about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I heard something in a movie, and it made me think about this. And it's like laughing in the dark. Sitting by a window while I laugh in the dark. The landscape looks different at night. Darkness rises and falls every 12 hours. Distractions are gone. Memories remain as each laugh sparks emotion that still flicker. Silent fades slowly away as memory closes in and time drifts away. When night comes, it's not the darkness outside that seems scary, it's being alone with my thoughts and the darkness within me. While sitting alone in my rocking chair, I dream of walking hand in hand with you in the park or on a quiet beach while we laugh out loud in the dark.
I am with you, man. Let's keep it as long as you want to go.
Okay, I can do a couple more.
All right, good.
Yes. This one here is titled Nightmare. While lying asleep in a dark room, thoughts run in and out of my mind. Words dance around without any meaning. Faces and images appear for a moment while in a cold sweat. You wake up screaming and fighting in your sleep, frightened from a past that appears in your dreams, tossing and turning. Sheets are on the floor and pillows lie everywhere. The air conditioning is rumbling. You wake up for a moment and look at the clock. It's 3:30 a.m. There's no one in the room but you. You feel the silence. Now you're frightened, shaken, trembling, and scared. You realize it's a new day. Just another scary dream, nightmare, but it's a nightmare that is all too familiar. This one here, like I said, now these ones I'm reading now are fairly new. The eyes that cry. While the sun is withdrawing from the garden, the moon throws beams of light across the heavens. Sitting under a tree, I think about how this atmosphere has changed. As I look through the tree branches, the stars begin to shine. They glitter like chips of silver on a black carpet. Some things can only be seen through the eyes that cry. Birds go to their nests and the flowers fold their petals with the silence of nature. Then I heard a voice speak. It said, "Sit by me." I listen as my heart beats. Tears roll down my cheek as I look up. I wonder if they are tears of joy, hurt, happiness, pain, or just feelings of being lonely. Could this be a signal of the insecurity of love or a false light of hope? Thoughts are poisoned by knowing old age is creeping up. I can hear words flowing from a weather beaten up soul saying, "Shed no tears that may open your eyes to enslave your heart. Give blessings and have patience." I leave before the moon vanishes, looking at slumbering nature and with deep reflection. The tears of time are deadened by sorrow, as some things can only be seen through the eyes that cry. And this poem here, this one here is pretty long, and was out in L.A. and I think you pronounce the street Kahunga Drive. And this is titled "The Old Man at the Park on Kahunga Drive." Actually, it's a true story. An old man strolls to the park daily to sit in the park to let his mind be at peace with life and nature. His mind wanders through old memories and thoughts from the past. Each day, as he makes his journey, smiling and minding his own business, he stops at the store to get something to drink. His legs move ahead of his mind, eager to get to his favorite bench after leaving the store. He enters the park amazed at the beauty of the flowers. No one bothers him, as it seems that everyone at the park knows him. He sits on the wooden bench in his quiet mood and just enjoys the peace that is felt at the park. He watches the cars pass by and other people walking, playing games, or reading in the park. He knows his way to the park without any assistance. On this particular day, he seemed a little confused. It was the bench by the tree where he first sat as he watched me. After catching his breath, he came over and approached the table where I was sitting and introduced himself. He said hello and asked if it was okay for him to sit down at the table. The trees in the park stared down at the old man as he walked through the soft green grass and flowers that were blooming. While he continued looking through the maze of trees and bushes, one caught his eye. It was a weeping willow hidden behind a few trunks of trees. He said this tree protects him from the sun and rain when he is at the park. He said the other benches had been replaced by the picnic tables. He looked on his the look on his face was like he had lost his only friend that was left in the world. After we talked for a while, he said it was time to go home. He followed the path that he had so many times traveled. He said, have a good evening and hope to see you again. Through the trees and towards the sidewalk he went, shaking his head as he seemed to be angry. He stopped, knelt down with a teardrop in his eye. He was inspecting the scratch marks. He turned with red eyes and the teardrop rolling down his cheeks and said in a crackling voice, I guess nothing lasts forever. He turned and continued towards home. The last 3 days of my trip, I sat in the park, but he never came back. I never got a chance to give him a book of my poems. I never saw him again. The park on Kahunga Drive, LA, California, but will never forget him. And that was actually, that's a true story. Me and him, we talked. He had lost an arm and he told me the whole story behind it. And he said that he was going to get hold to one of his family members so he can get on the internet so he could check out my videos, my books, because I gave him a card. And it was like no one had ever gave him anything. He said, for real, you're not charging me? And I'm like, no, you know. But it was a sad story. And it took me a while before I wrote that. I had came back and I was sitting around one day and I said, you know what, let me write this poem. Have not ever seen that man again.
Wow.
So I don't know. I mean, and that was in 2019 when I met him. And hey,
That's how we write, isn't it?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
and people always say that was your angel, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yes,
There you
yes.
go.
And, I mean, he was a cool guy. He was a cool guy, and I told him, man, sorry, but he lost his arm at work. The companies afterwards, wife walked out on him, took the kids. The company called him back, gave him a job so he could work long enough to retire. Soon as she found that out, she wanted to come back. And he said, no.
Mm-hmm.
No. No. And I was like, wow,
Oh,
man. In the store in the store that he was going to, it was right next to the park. Our hotel was right across the street. Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant, owned that store. Cause I went by there one day and I seen his car had Black Mamba on it. I went in there and I'm like, hey, Black Mamba. And then the guy looked at me and I said, I know you don't know me. I said, hey, I'm just here. I said, I've been coming in here every day. I go over to the park and I had to pull out of my bag. I said, hey man, I write poetry. I just come over here to take pictures and to write. And so then he said, yes, that's who Carter just said. That's who owns this store. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's fun listening to your poems, and I'm going to have to go back and listen to them again because I'm kind of concentrating on doing the technology here and make sure that it
Yes.
works. But your poems have got multiple levels. You can hear the words, but then there's something else behind the words, and probably something behind that as well.
Yes.
So it's this is going to be fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, I enjoyed this. I mean, you want me to stop?
You got another couple of poems? Let's do it.
Okay.
We've been going about 35 minutes. We can go some
Okay.
more.
Okay. I'll do three more.
That sounds good.
Okay. Okay.
All right, you got the stage, man.
Okay. This is a poem. Like I said, this is one of those written recently. Okay, this poem is titled "Don't Wake Me While I'm Dreaming." While writing these words, I'm dreaming, dreaming as the rain begins to pour down and a cool breeze blows through. Relaxing as it may be, this dream just gets more fascinating. The earth gets soaked as it washes away the troubles that have been brought upon this land. The tears from the angels flow to let the world know they are disappointed with the direction things are going. Dreaming this dream makes me not want to wake up. There is no lightning or thunder, only the cool pouring rain that settles in puddles, streams, and oceans. This dream is so amazing and so awesome. But this dream is just that, a dream. Trying not to awaken, all hurt and pain disappears in this dream. No one is crying, no one is shouting, no one is frustrated. This dream has taken me across and into the universe where few dare to travel. The next one is I wrote this while I was out in not Manhattan, well Manhattan and Santa Monica by the ocean. I am drawn to the ocean like those before me and those yet to come. There is no other place I would rather be. When I sit by the ocean and listen to the sound of the waves, I feel free of all obligations to the people around me and of the world. I could sit here forever listening and appreciating each breath the earth takes. It is calming to watch as the ocean sends new waves to bubble, tickle, and foam as they roll upon the shore. With each new wave rolling in, the seabirds spread their wings and soar over the sand and sea. Sitting alone in this solitude cleanses my soul, mind, and thoughts. There is nothing more beautiful than the ocean that refuses to stop kissing the shoreline endlessly with waves from the deep blue sea. And my last poem that I'm gonna read is another beach poem. I wrote this down in it's called Sylvan Beach in LaPorte, Texas. It's on a beach bench. I sit alone on the same bench at the beach, wondering where the time has gone. I think my life is so much better as I have gotten older. What words would I use to describe this life of mine? There was so much I wanted to accomplish as I take the time to look across the waters. I watch all the young people smile as they go by. They remind me of my own children who are now grown. I see them only once in a while. I hold a bag of breadcrumbs to feed the birds as they glide and circle around looking for food. The birds wait for me to throw the breadcrumbs onto the beach sand. I come here because it's quiet and peaceful and I want some company. The birds have become like family. They flock around me knowing I won't hurt them and they won't hurt me. I look down at my hands as I begin to write about this lovely day on the beach. A few people who are on the beach enjoy the quietness. There is so much peace under the blue sky. I call this bench my special place. Sometimes I bring a lunch here just to feel the cool breeze as the waves roll by. This is the part of my life I look forward to, sitting on a beach bench alone. A day at the beach is not complete without catching the perfect wave or gathering shells that have washed upon the shore, making precious souvenirs for a lovely day. Thank you. I enjoyed reading these poems. And
All right.
I hope everybody enjoy. Can I give you my correct YouTube channel?
Sure.
It's youtube.com with a capital A but lowercase author, capital P, lower class poet, and then capital B with lower class 31355.
Yeah. Okay. What
Author
I'll
poet Birdman 31355. Yes.
I'll go get that, and it'll be in the notes when this posts on YouTube. It'll be in the notes,
Okay.
so we'll
Okay.
be able
Thank
to
you. Yeah.
we'll be able to get to you on that.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is Preston Tyree and Birdman313 from the Tower Coffee Hour, and we're going to hang it up for now, and maybe we'll invite him back. Give us enough comments down below and tell us you want him back. Birdman, I've enjoyed
Yes.
the heck out of it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I have too.
All
We
right,
got to do this again.
we
I
got to
don't
do it
mind it.
again. It sounds
Okay.
fun. All right.
Yeah. Okay.